Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to talk about down payment assistance and, in particular, growing your first-time homebuyer business. That's the topic today. And more specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about the state of down payment assistance across the country, what's going on with DPAs, recent news and trends, and so forth. We'll also talk a little bit about some first-time homebuyer market opportunities. But the crux of today's webinar is going to be about educating buyers about down payment requirements and enhancing your marketing to expand the reach of your marketing messages, all of which we're going to do by illustrating how your peers are using Down Payment Connect in particular to start conversations, to engage in dialogue, to educate more buyers, to build up that purchase pipeline, and to get more renters ready to purchase a home. My name is Sean Moss with Down Payment Resource, and we also have several members of our team in the background. They're going to be answering questions as we go, so we encourage you to answer or ask questions. Tell us about any recent DPA stories that you have, a client that you use a DPA with. Our marketing team is also in the background. We'd love to hear one of those stories and reach back out to you and maybe do a little case study and get you some PR. But nonetheless, let's be interactive. Use that Zoom Q&A tool to ask questions, and our team in the background will be answering them as we go, and we will leave time at the end for Q&A. Now, a little bit about us. Down Payment Resource is a national database and a matching engine of all of the roughly 2,200 homeownership programs around the country. We integrate into MLSs and property listing data, which we'll cover briefly here. We also work with lenders. We broadcast all of these programs to consumers, but primarily we are here to help you connect home buyers to down payment help. And one tool in particular that we provide that does that is Down Payment Connect. Many of you might already have that for free. We also have a subscription version for those of you who need it. I'll clarify that in a few minutes, but ultimately we are here to help you connect home buyers to the down payment help they need. Now, we track and monitor all of the homebuyer programs across the country. Most of them, 73%, are down payment or closing cost assistance. But we also track mortgage credit certificates, which are tax credits. We track and monitor the affordable first mortgage products that typically come from your state or local housing finance agencies. And there are other types of homebuyer assistance programs that we monitor and that we provide back to you and your clients to build awareness of them. But by and large, we're talking about the down payment assistance program, many of which will also allow their funds to be used for closing cost help. But even within that category, just for context as we go, many of those programs have deferred payments. Some of those programs are forgivable loans. Some of them are repaid monthly from the get-go. Some of them are grants. But nonetheless, they're all down payment assistance programs, and all of them present opportunities for buyers, new buyers, and sometimes even repeat buyers to explore home ownership, to cover the down payment, to cover the down payment gap, and to remain liquid as they move into their home instead of expending every dollar they have to buy a home. Now, we also want to be clear, these programs are available everywhere. There is no market in the country that doesn't have some form of down payment assistance available, if for no other reason than because every state has at least one state housing finance agency. So they offer their programs statewide. And then there are many other types of program providers, which we'll see in a moment, that also supplement those opportunities with their own programs. Now, real quick, I just want to be clear about what's going on with down payment assistance programs. Over the last year, maybe 2 years, there's been a lot of chatter about down payment assistance is going away. These programs ran out of money. They shut down for COVID. Some did, but every state housing finance agency and most local housing finance agencies stayed open through last year, remain open today. And in fact, it might surprise you to know, but across the country, state housing finance agencies had record years last year, and that volume continues this year. And to be clear, that is not refinance volume. That is purchase business with a mortgage and down payment assistance being done by your state housing finance agencies. We also continue to see new state and local programs launched in markets, or tweaks or enhancements or modifications made to new programs or to existing programs. Currently, over 80% of all down payment assistance programs are active, funded, and available. And that's a normal number. It's never at 100% because, yes, there are still some seasonal programs that, they'll get funding for the year. They may run out of it. Now, that's not the case with your state housing finance agency. They are all essentially perpetually funded, but we're seeing normal numbers. A normal volume of DPAs are active and funded and available. And also, homebuyer education is being done online. Many DPA providers were able to stay open over the last 18 months or so because they adopted online homebuyer education courses. That's a big deal because many DPA programs, in order to qualify, require that the buyer complete a homebuyer education class. So all of this is to say down payment assistance is absolutely still available and is absolutely not going away. In fact, we're seeing more and more attention on affordability and on down payment assistance in particular out of DC at the state level and even in local communities. So what we want to talk about today is how can you engage with those potential home buyers who are thinking, I'm saving for a home, but I don't think I have enough for a down payment. I want to stop renting, but I got to get that 20% down. We need to combat that myth. We all know that you don't need 20% down to buy a home. However, we also know that misperceptions like that linger and that buyers are looking for guidance, not just with navigating the home buying process and getting pre-approved. Of course, any first-time home buyer is going to need help with that. They also need to compare and understand their mortgage options and understand the real down payment requirements. And of course, how they're going to cover down payment and closing costs. And then, of course, we have the added complexity of a tight market with limited inventory and lots of seller control over transactions. So what misperceptions linger? Which misperceptions linger? We did a study in 2018, which you might say is dated at this point, but we feel like all of these misperceptions still linger today, just as they did 3-4 years ago. So we did a study, or the Urban Institute did a study in which they asked potential home buyers several questions about their sort of journey to home ownership. When they asked these potential home buyers, who were generally millennial renters, what was their largest or biggest barrier to home ownership, 68% of those home buyers said it was the down payment. That doesn't surprise us. We've heard it for years, right? And we also know that to be true today. When asked how much they thought they needed as a down payment in order to purchase a home, these potential home buyers said that they thought they needed 15 or 20% down or more. That's the 20% myth. Now, it can come from a lot of places, but if you think about, for example, payment calculators, when a potential home buyer is navigating websites and looking at properties and they see, oh, this great payment, it's almost always with 20% down calculated, right? But that fosters this misperception that you have to have 20% down in order to buy a home. We need to overcome that. Potential buyers need to know that they can get an FHA loan, 3.5% down, conventional loan, 3%, 5% down. If they're qualified, a VA loan, or if the property's qualified, a USDA mortgage. But then we also have this problem in that when asked, these potential home buyers, when asked if they had any familiarity with low down payment mortgages, like those that I just rattled off, more than 3/4 in this survey said that they had little or no familiarity with low down payment mortgage options, not to mention the fact that they don't know that down payment assistance is out there. So when we put all this together, it's clear buyers think they need more down payment than they do. The down payment is their biggest barrier to home ownership, and they don't know that you can get into a home with 3.5%, 5% down. So how can we serve these buyers? We need to be a trusted advisor. We need to provide information in our marketing and our outreach that's going to help them prepare for the future, and in particular, dispel the myths and misperceptions that still linger with way too many potential home buyers. And then we need to remember that they're going to work with people and companies or brands that are there to serve and educate and keep them informed. And we also need to remember they're going to tell their peers. If you get a millennial down payment assistance, or you get a young first-time homebuyer down payment assistance, tell that story, because they're going to tell their peers too. And you should be broadcasting that message. We have a very specific example of that coming up here in a few minutes. So given all that, how can we connect buyers to down payment assistance help? How can we open up the dialogue? How can we educate buyers about the fact that these programs exist? Well, one way is here at Down Payment Resource, we partner with MLSs around the country. You can see our list of MLS partners here and take a look, see if your MLS is on this list, because if so, you have Down Payment Connect for free. And you also have access to down payment assistance programs and data inside your MLS when you're listing and selling and showing properties, which I'll explain here in a moment. But if your MLS is on this list, you already have a unique suite of down payment assistance tools at your disposal, which allow you to do a couple of things. First, log into your MLS and grab your Down Payment Connect link. So here are a couple of different examples. I can't cover everybody's MLS here if you're a member of those MLSs, but essentially go to your MLS dashboard or product menu and find Down Payment Resource. And from there, you can grab your Down Payment Connect link. The rest of this webinar is going to focus on Down Payment Connect and the fun, unique, creative, and compelling ways that your real estate peers around the country have engaged with consumers to educate them, start conversations, get them into the pipeline, and get them looking at homes. So grab your Down Payment Connect link. It will look something like this, but that's just my little test link. It will end with your first name _ last name. And it also comes with marketing resources, graphics packages, customizable flyers in English and Spanish, video tutorials, and more to help you get the tool out there, but get the word out about these programs and do it in an attractive and creative way. So once you have your Down Payment your Down Payment Connect link, you can push that out in social media, email marketing, and your website. And we're going to show you a bunch of examples of that. But basically, it allows consumers to do a search for down payment programs and connect back to you and only you. Now, if you are not a member of one of those MLS partners of ours that we showed a moment ago, then you can also subscribe to Down Payment Connect at downpaymentresource.com/DPC. Now, again, I'm going to go back here. If you are a member of one of these MLSs, don't pay for Down Payment Connect. You already have it. If you are not a member of one of those MLSs, or if you are a loan officer, because we also have loan officers on the call today, then you can go to downpaymentresource.com/DPC, and you can get your own personalized landing page where consumers search for homebuyer assistance programs where they want to purchase a home. You generate unlimited traffic and leads to your page. You own it. It's yours. You're not buying leads. It's not a lead carousel. It's your marketing tool. Comes with other marketing graphics, flyers, social media training, and so forth. And loan officers, we also have a version that allows you to see a detailed directory of all of the programs in your state and customize which programs display to borrowers, because we know that you can only market those programs that your company participates in or that you can offer. So all of that, if you're not a member of one of our partner MLSs, is available at downpaymentresource.com/DPC. And I'll ask our team in the background if they can post that link in the chat. But basically, your personalized landing page allows consumers to match themselves to DPA programs and start that conversation about homeownership with you. You are essentially not just telling them that down payment help is out there, but you are providing a path or illuminating a path to that down payment help. So let's get into the fun part of this webinar. How are your peers, how are real estate agents and even loan officers around the country leveraging the down payment assistance topic, but also specifically our Down Payment Connect tool in order to educate and attract new buyers to build their purchase pipeline? So I'm going to run you through some examples, and then we're actually going to hop out of these slides here, and we're going to look at a few of these in more detail live, because some of these actually have more to it than what you can see in the screenshot. But we're talking about taking Down Payment Connect, talking about down payment assistance, and putting that out in all of your marketing where consumers meet you or get your messaging or receive your marketing. So here's a very simple example. This is just adding down payment assistance on a website. Under the bio here, Brian has added a couple sentences about down payment assistance. You can see a click here, a call to action. That's going to take the consumer to his Down Payment Connect page, where they are going to search for DPAs, find out what's out there, and connect back to Brian to have that conversation. You can also see he used one of our graphics on the left. Same thing. That's just another way for the consumer to get into his Down Payment Connect page. Now, some realtors or some loan officers will embed this into an existing page or a new page they build on their website. That's just simply using an iframe and adding our Down Payment Connect form to that iframe. So in this case, Susan has added the Down Payment Connect search to the middle of the page inside of an iframe. The consumer does their search there. They find their DPA programs. They submit their information to Susan, and Susan picks up the phone, calls them, and they're off to the races. Here is an example of adding a link in your site navigation. Doesn't have to be complicated. Now, in this case, they actually loaded the Down Payment Connect form in an iframe on that same page, but you can see in the top navigation, Angela here has added a link to down payment assistance. That's what the site navigation button says. And when they go to that page, the form is right there waiting for them. Again, they do their search, they submit their information to Angela, and Angela picks up the phone and starts that dialogue about getting into a home, clarifying down payment requirements, getting pre-qualified, and so forth. What about your email marketing, email signature? Here's an example of a loan officer that added a graphic to his email signature such that every email he delivered included this message that down payment money is available, see if you're eligible, and that's a link to his Down Payment Connect page, where a consumer can, again, search for the programs that Sal can help with and connect back to Sal to start that process of getting pre-qualified and exploring home ownership and financing. So in your email marketing, this is an example of using email signatures, but if you need content for an email marketing campaign, talk about DPAs, and give people that path to down payment assistance by offering your Down Payment Connect search form and letting them find out what's available for them. We're going to actually take a look at this one in more detail because there's a lot more to it than what you can see on the screen, but leverage video. Now this team produced their own video. We have a home buyer video you can use as well with Down Payment Connect. But this team produced a nice video that introduces down payment assistance. And then this page actually goes on to provide a lot of additional educational content about down payment assistance programs, geography, profession, income, home ownership history, and several other factors and their impact on eligibility for down payment assistance. So we'll look at that one in a little bit more detail here live in a moment. Then what do you do with brand new clients? What are you providing to them? What homework do they get? What do you ask them to study up on, to do next? So think about your intake process or a new buyer checklist or anything like that, or the initial content they might receive from you. Are you talking about financing and covering the down payment? This is an example from a broker in Texas. And in this case, step one for his new clients is to figure out what they can afford to get pre-qualified, but also look at your down payment, look at your cash to close, look at closing costs, and let's figure out right now up front how that's going to look and what opportunities are out there to maybe help cover closing costs so you don't have to ask the seller. That would be a leg up right now. Or to supplement your cash so you can use a down payment assistance program and maybe have some of that money, some of that liquid money left over when you move into the house to cover the costs of moving in, to cover the initial costs of home ownership, to have a little disaster fund available, or to be able to do some improvements to the property to make it the dream home. We all know that right now people are going to have to back off a little bit on the dream home idea, right? It's so competitive that you really just have to buy what you can get, what you can live with. And in some cases, over time, evolve that into your dream home. But that costs money, right? So for all of these reasons, we also are big proponents of people going into a home with liquid savings and not expending every last penny they have. So that can all start with your new client checklist. What are you offering them now? Are you talking about down payment assistance programs? And for how many more clients might you compel them to investigate homeownership more seriously if they knew that help was out there? Similarly, Raul here posts or sets up any new client on a drip campaign that over the course of a few weeks sends out the top 10 questions he is asked by new clients, and he answers them. So sometimes your clients don't know what questions to ask. He's asking the question for them. Things like, when researching home loans, what is the best approach to look for down payment and closing cost assistance? Well, a new home buyer doesn't know to ask that question if they don't know that there is such a thing as a down payment assistance program. So he poses the question, educating them about the fact that those programs exist, and then he answers the question and provides them that path to finding down payment help via Down Payment Connect, right? So that's a great way to include down payment assistance in your automated marketing campaigns, drip campaigns, but bring that topic up while they're thinking about the other things that they want to learn or need to learn. Now, I hinted at this earlier. If you've worked with a client recently that got a down payment assistance program or used a down payment assistance program and got down payment help or closing cost help, tell that story. In fact, we'd love to hear it in the chat. If you've closed with a client recently, give us the basics of the story. And if you want, our marketing team seriously would love to follow up with you and learn a little bit more, maybe write up a case study or a blog post for our blog. But tell that story to your audience, whether that's on Facebook, Instagram, email, your blog, wherever your audience interacts with you. Tell that story of that buyer that you helped get down payment assistance. And in this example, this team in Minnesota, they told the story of their recent client who they helped get $12,000 in down payment and closing cost help to get into their first home. Not only is that story going to resonate with your audience, but that buyer is going to go tell that same story, and that's going to resonate with their peer audience, their peer group. That is a great way to tell a compelling story, illuminate the fact that there's help out there, and show buyers that are maybe on the sideline or they're kind of sitting on the fence because they don't think home ownership is within reach or within their grasp. That's a great way to show them that, yes, in fact, it is. You may well be ready for home ownership now if we can just have a conversation and talk about down payment assistance, closing cost help, and so forth. I do want to point out one other thing in this example. Look at the branding across the top of this post. Great post, great story, but they co-brand all of this with the brokerage, the team, and their lender. Their lender is included in their marketing because they have built a relationship with a trusted lender that provides these down payment assistance programs and is good at them. They close on time. They're not going to delay the transaction. That is so critical for real estate agents. And we know this is the most common question we always get. How do I find a loan officer that I know can help with down payment assistance programs? First of all, if you're a loan officer, chime in. How would you want a realtor to connect with you? How are they supposed to find you? But realtors, you can always use Down Payment Resource if you're with our partner MLSs to figure out who the participating lenders are for any program. We put that right up front and center for you when you're using Down Payment Resource. You can also talk to the DPA providers, and a great place to start would be your state housing finance agency. They will publish a list. They all have them on their website of their participating lenders, and many of them nowadays also publish a list of top producing loan officers. So you can go find the loan officers who do the most DPA business, meaning they do it the best, they do it most frequently, they know how to set expectations, they know how to get these deals done and prevent delays. Now, moving on, video. Couple things to point out here. First of all, keep it simple. Look at the timestamps on all these videos. They're 1 minute. Look at the location. One's in a hallway next to an office. The main one here is in a kitchen. One's in the corner of a room. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple. Just, ask a question, answer the question, and put the video out there. And over time, that builds up, sort of a repertoire for your toolkit, just video that you can use and reuse. The main video here, how to find a lender that offers down payment assistance. This is coming from a real estate agent. And who do you think they're going to refer people to? This is actually the same team from the last example. they're going to refer people to their lender partners that they know and trust and have experience with that do these DPA transactions. So that's a great message for you to send out. Let people know that down payment assistance is out there, and you are partnered with lenders and loan officers that you know and trust will get those deals to closing on time. Now, a couple other examples here. Here's a team in Seattle. Under their advice for buyers section on their website, they have added a little bit more content here, educational content. We're actually going to look at this live too, because they've done a couple other unique things on their down payment assistance page. But the primary point here is they have a page about down payment assistance, and they talk about DPAs, and then they actually go on to provide the search form right on the page. We'll look at that one live here in a few minutes. Facebook, what are you doing on Facebook? Even if you're not advertising, what are you posting? What kind of content do you put on Facebook? Is it a professional page? Is it a personal page? Either way, here's a super simple example of a Facebook ad, but it doesn't even have to be an ad. 2 sentences. Many first-time homebuyers qualify for down payment money. See if you qualify, and let's get shopping for your new home. That's it. That's the whole ad, right? And Marilyn found that with that ad and that simple call to action, she was able to maximize her Down Payment Connect landing page, get good leads that are responsive and interested. And that's in Indianapolis. So we're moving all over the country here, if you haven't noticed yet, because we want you to know in high cost, low cost, urban, suburban, rural, east, west, north, south, this works everywhere because buyers everywhere need help with their down payment. Now, Instagram, sticking to social media for a moment, talk about down payment assistance anywhere. I mean, that's kind of the gist of what we're saying here. But even Instagram, if that's where you have followers, if that's where you have an audience, if that's where your megaphone or your microphone reaches more people, talk about down payment assistance. Leverage hashtags, leverage your content. Make sure that people are getting the message. Leverage our graphics. This graphic here with the dog and the welcome mat, that's one of our graphics from our graphics packages. We give you all kinds of cool creative artwork and stuff that you can use to make this fun and exciting and compelling. Sticking with Instagram, again, more graphics here, more content. This is actually a loan officer, but again, talk about DPAs. Let people know that that help is out there, and you can use tools like Linktree or similar tools to even add links, like in your Instagram bio, to let people click on Down Payment Connect. Now, we gave you a lot of examples there, and those were screenshots, so static views of some creative things that people have done. But I want to take a moment and show you some of these live. So the first thing I want to show you is how to get Down Payment Connect if you are a member of one of our partner MLSs. So I can't show everybody's MLS dashboard, that would take too long, but the gist of it is log into your MLS dashboard and find down payment resource. Okay. I'm going to click on this, and that's going to take me to a screen we saw a screenshot of earlier, but that's going to take me to my down payment resource dashboard. The first thing here is your free, unique to you Down Payment Connect lead gen webpage. What this does is allow the consumer, and I'm going to show you the consumer experience in a moment, but it allows the consumer to search for DPAs essentially through you. So I'll show you the consumer experience in a moment, but let me also show you marketing resources. So we saw a screenshot earlier, but we have graphics, social media images, customizable flyers. We have video tutorials, a social media training module. So I won't go through all of this, but just to show you briefly a few things here. You've seen some of these graphics, right? Use some of these graphics that you've seen in our examples. Some of these are popular in email signatures because they're simple, basically. Social media images. We've got all kinds of images for various social platforms formatted to fit the needs on each platform. All kinds of Instagram images. We saw a couple of these earlier, right? And we encourage you to use all of this. We have a consumer-facing blog. We encourage you to repurpose that content with attribution, of course, but you don't have to write it all up from scratch either. We have customizable flyers in English and Spanish. You can download any of these. The bottom right quadrant is customizable. You can add your contact info, your brand, your headshot, your Down Payment Connect link, anything you want. And we have video tutorials to show you kind of, broadly how to do some cool, unique things with Down Payment Connect. We have a social media training module, and I'll talk a little bit about our Facebook group and even recorded webinars. So point is, there's a ton of content there. So basically, go to your MLS dashboard, find the down payment resource button, and this is if you're a member of one of our partner MLSs. There's your Down Payment Connect link waiting for you when you get to your down payment dashboard. It includes marketing resources, which I just showed you. And now I want to go show you the consumer experience. And then we're going to look live at some of those examples I showed you to look at some of the nuances and some of the additional things going on in some of those pages. So here's the consumer experience. When we say illustrate a path to down payment help, or show the consumer, show the home buyer what kind of help is out there, when you get them into your Down Payment Connect page, this is their experience. They're going to start their search. Anything they do is going to go to you. Now, I'm with Down Payment Resource, but this would show your name. It's your page. Anything they do here is going to you and only you. Maybe they don't have an address. That's quite possible, right? Especially earlier on. They're just kind of considering home ownership. So that's fine. Let's say they don't have an address and they know what city they want to live in. That is the only thing they have to enter for us to start telling them how many programs might be out there. If they want to enter an estimated purchase price, if they have a feel for their price range, they can do that. If they want to enter household income, home ownership history, they can do that. But again, they don't have to. These are all optional fields. If they've served in the military, that may open up additional programs. If they work in certain professions, there may be unique teacher programs or police programs or nurse programs in your market. Not every market, but where they exist. Anything that the home buyer, your future client, enters here, we will account for that versus program guidelines for all the programs available to them. And then when they're ready, when they've entered whatever they want, they know there are some programs out there. We'll tell them how many programs and how many dollars they might get. Then they're going to fill out this form. Then when they submit it, that's going to send an email to you immediately saying, hey, Sean just did a search on your Down Payment Connect page. He found 25 programs and he wants to talk to you more about taking the next steps. That goes to your email. If you're a member of our MLS partners, it'll go to your email address of record in your agent profile with your MLS. If you are subscribing to the paid version of Down Payment Connect, then you provide your email address when you subscribe, and that's where your leads go. Now notice, I did not see the programs on the screen. I know there are 25 of them. Now I know I can get up to $50,000 in down payment help, but I didn't see any program names. We do that on purpose. We want to make sure that that buyer submits their information, tells you they want to connect, and opens the door for that conversation. And only once they submit this form to you, will we email them a list of the program names that came up in their search, but there are no links to anybody else, not a lender, not a program provider, not another realtor. Only the list of the program names get emailed to your client, your lead, and your contact information is included for them. So that connection is made about down payment assistance, hence the name Down Payment Connect, right? So let me show you a few of these examples here. We looked at Brian first, and I just wanted to point out a couple things here. This is his home page, first of all. And then right under his bio, this is where he's added just a couple of sentences. You see, we've got this sort of blinking call to action here. And then we've also got this link over here. Once I click on this, I'm in Brian's Down Payment Connect page. Anything I do here is only going to Brian. Now, this is another example we didn't look at earlier, but in your site navigation, many of you probably have a buyer menu or buy. Under that menu, what are you offering? In this case, Suncoast Realty, this is in Florida, they have offered down payment assistance. And when I click on that, they didn't even build a page. They just send people right to their Down Payment Connect page. Perfectly simple, perfectly fine, works perfectly well. We also looked at Susan's page. I just wanted to show you in this iframe, she's built that consumer search experience into her page. So once I'm done, if I want to go do something else here, I can do that on her page. And I can just enter my city, I can see the program details, and I can do my search there. The Seattle team, we looked at this, advice for buyers, down payment assistance. Now, I want to scroll down this page because I mentioned earlier, there's actually a good bit of educational content here. They provide a place for buyers to go on their website to learn about down payment assistance in a little more detail than just a couple sentences. So this is more educational than call to action. However, it does end with the opportunity to perform that search. And anything I do here is going to go to Gerhard and his team only. Similarly, I want to pull this example up. We saw this earlier too. We were talking about video, leverage video. They produce their own. We have some. You can keep it simple. What they also did here, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. They also added a bunch of content. So they go down the page here to educate people about down payment assistance in a lot of different ways. Notice too, the graphics here, the red text, these are all links to their Down Payment Connect page embedded into this educational content. So who qualifies? What are the criteria for the buyer? Finances, home ownership history, your profession. Here's a graphic. It's another link to their Down Payment Connect page. Price, geography. So all of this leads to the bottom line here. Down payment assistance can vary greatly. Investigate your options. And they've given them several opportunities to do so, woven throughout this page that's dedicated to educating them about DPAs. They have built their team with agents working with first-time homebuyers using down payment assistance, and they drive a lot of people to this page, and it's been a great lead generation opportunity for them. Now, a couple more examples here. We like this one because they pitch their unique take as a game-changing service. And yes, you can find homes, you can browse homes, but their other game-changing service is save money. Find down payment assistance. Use their homebuyer loan program wizard, which is what? It's their down payment connect tool, right? So they've embedded that on a page in their site, and you connect with Warren when you do your down payment search. Do you have a blog? We haven't talked about blogs yet, but here's an example of a blog, a blogger, real estate agent. If you have a blog, you're always looking for content, right? You're probably forever struggling for content. You want to keep it unique. You want it to be value added. They've got links here to their Down Payment Connect page. They talk about down payment assistance in this blog post. They use one of our videos, Down Payment Connect for home buyers, that explains what they're going to do in the Down Payment Connect tool. And then this blog post ends with a process. Click on the button below, enter your information, get your results, meaning you're going to get the lead, and then let's talk. And that conversation is likely to include, hey, by the way, I have a loan officer partner that does a really good job with these down payment assistance programs. Let me get you connected with them and get pre-qualified. And then, of course, there's the link, right, to Down Payment Connect. Last thing I'll show you is one more Facebook example. Shayna is in Detroit. Couple sentences. Down payment money's out there. Let's find it. You could almost even end with that. Use my Down Payment Connect page to find programs that can help you save on your down payment and closing costs. And then the link and a nice graphic. It's that simple. It can be that simple. And this works. All of these examples have been pulled out for you today because they are the ones that get a lot of traffic, that have good lead conversion rates, and they're the ones that we see bubble up as, you know, the most attractive, most creative examples of how to engage buyers with down payment assistance and how to get them into Down Payment Connect. So I'll wrap this up here with a few things, and then we're going to take questions. And I can see chat and the Q&A have been very busy. We talked about email signature. I won't read all of this, but email signature. Market eligible properties with your program, with program information. So for those of you who are members of our partner MLSs, talk about DPA availability when you're promoting properties that you think a client might like. Facebook, Instagram, social media, add Down Payment Connect there. Talk about down payment assistance. Add educational content on your website. Have a first-time homebuyer or DPA section on your website. Leverage video. Keep it simple. Doesn't have to be complicated. We don't need Hollywood productions to attract attention, right? And then one other thing, work with your DPA providers and realtors, work with your loan officers, host homebuyer events, even virtually. But that's a great way to educate more buyers, let them know that these programs are out there. And in the case of working with the program providers, they may have other events that you could latch onto that might open the door to more potential buyers as well. And then lastly, leverage the experts. You have to have a lender in place that knows these programs and offers these programs, because we all know not every lender offers down payment assistance. If you're on here and you're a lender, a loan officer, chime in the chat or Q&A. How do you connect with realtors and let them know that you offer these programs? What's your message? Because realtors, I promise you, what's going on in Q&A right now, the number one question we get is, how do I find a lender that can help me with these programs? So realtors, talk to your existing loan officer partners, see if they offer any of these programs, and maybe it just hadn't come up yet. Talk to the DPA providers and ask them who their top lenders are. Talk to your broker, talk to your peers. Maybe they have partners that work with down payment assistance. And then, of course, the DPA providers, host seminars, use their marketing material. You might be surprised to find that your state or local housing finance agencies have some really cool marketing collateral. Get to know their programs, highlight program basics in some of your marketing content. And if you get the chance, and this would be really cool for your client, attend a homebuyer education course with one of your clients and just absorb the message in the course, and then incorporate that message into your marketing so that you can be an evangelist for down payment help and long-term home ownership success, the kinds of things they're going to learn about in that class. You can join it's probably over 8,000 down payment insiders now in our Facebook group. This down payment insiders group on Facebook is a collection of real estate agents, loan officers, even some DPA providers all over the country, sharing best practices, case studies, success stories, challenges, obstacles, marketing content, all manner of ideas related to first-time home buyers, related to down payment assistance. So we encourage you to listen in and learn, or chime in and educate, but get involved with down payment insiders and help all of those insiders in that peer group learn from you and learn from your experiences wherever you may be, whichever market you may serve. And I'll leave you with a couple case studies here. And I won't read the whole thing, but Amber at the top, when she got into the business, she found that a lot of people were struggling to understand down payment requirements. So she took it upon herself to help educate people about down payment requirements, but also to expose them to down payment assistance programs. And she has built her business accordingly. And fittingly, on Veterans Day, Raul is a broker in Texas. He started out after the military in real estate and thought there had to be a better way to teach veterans to buy homes and to help veterans into homes. And he incorporated down payment assistance into his business early on, and in particular to help veterans navigate the home buying process. So with that, here again is our list of MLS partners. And actually there's one that's not on here. So let me scroll back to the full list. Here is our list of MLS partners. If your MLS is listed here, you already have Down Payment Connect. It is free. You do not have to turn it on. You don't have to ask us for it. There is no freemium or upsell model. It's a free tool made available as part of our partnership with these MLSs. And DPR, our whole platform, is integrated into your listing system. So you can see which properties are eligible for down payment help. Your clients can see that. You can explore the programs from listing reports. And let me go back to the end here. So with that, let's get into Q&A. If you need to subscribe to Down Payment Connect, if you like what you saw today and you're not a member of one of those MLS partners, you can do so at downpaymentresource.com/DPC to get your lead gen tool and get your marketing started with regard to down payment assistance programs. So with that, let's get into Q&A. I'm going to ask Mel and the rest of the team in the background if there are any themes we can address, any questions that came in frequently that we can address for our audience today.
Yeah, hey, Sean. The first thing that I'll say, we've had a lot of amazing comments and questions today, even a couple of testimonials, which are great. But I want to let everybody know we did record this session, so we will be sending out the recording, and we will also include the slides. We've had that question a lot, so I just wanted everybody to know if you missed anything, don't worry. We'll have that information out to you. And
Good
then
deal.
another question that's just been really common and is always really common, Sean, if you want to touch on is, and we've had some activity in chat asking for like lender connections, and a lot of agents wanting to know how to find lenders that do DPA.
Yeah, so we've addressed that a little bit, but start with your existing loan officer partners. That's, maybe it just hasn't come up. Maybe you didn't have a client that needed or used down payment assistance. Maybe you didn't know to ask the loan officer. The loan officer didn't think to bring it up. For any number of reasons, it may just not have come up with your existing loan officer partners. So ask them which programs they participate in, and get a feel for their capacity and willingness and ability to help your first time homebuyer clients. I can tell you this, and loan officers on the call chime in here, but loan officers are looking ahead at a purchase market and should and likely are aggressively pursuing purchase business. So if that's the business you can bring to them and they can grow their purchase pipeline, then that's a great opportunity for both of you and should be a great segue into a meaningful partnership. You can also talk to your broker or your peers. Ask them if they have a lender that they know of or work with or have worked with in the past that offers down payment assistance, and maybe that will help uncover a good relationship opportunity. And then lastly, I would say talk to the state housing finance agency or a local DPA provider, but your state housing finance agency will have a long list of participating lenders and will perhaps have a published list of top producing loan officers. Those are the ones that do the most volume. Those are the ones that are more likely to be most familiar with the programs and want your business too. So those are places to start. Leverage your peer network, your brokerage, and the DPA providers. What
Great,
else?
Sean, there are 3 questions that I have seen on multiple occasions. The first question is, can these programs be used by investors?
No, these programs are for the purchase of owner-occupied primary residences. Down payment assistance, all of these down payment assistance programs are for residential properties. So let's just go ahead and put a few other qualifiers on this. They're for residential properties, but that can include single family, detached, attached, so condo, townhome. Some programs will allow manufactured homes. Some programs you can use with 2-unit or 3-unit or 4-unit properties. Beyond that, it's commercial. So you have to be buying your primary residence, the one you intend to live in. We're talking about residential properties. So we're also typically not talking about cash buyers, right? We're talking about buyers that are going to finance the purchase of their home and need help with down payment. So they'll use a down payment assistance program for the home they're going to live in.
Great. And just to add to that, Sean, one additional question along those lines is, do these programs allow for new construction?
Many will, yes. So you wouldn't be able to close and use the down payment assistance until basically you got the certificate of occupancy for the newly constructed home. So it has to be completed. So you can't use it for like the construction to perm financing, for example. But yes, once the house is done and built, then yeah, you can, for a lot of these programs, you can use their down payment assistance program for new construction homes.
Great. And then one final question is, do we provide marketing resources in Spanish?
We do have the customizable flyers in Spanish at the moment. That's the extent of our Spanish language marketing collateral, but I would encourage you to leverage those at the very least where applicable. What else? Any other themes? Will, anything you want to address? I see some questions in here about YouTube. Julian asks, is there a YouTube channel where I can go view past videos on demand? So yeah, Mel, maybe we can put a link to our YouTube channel where they can go see our video library. And then of course our marketing resources page, which we showed earlier, right where you go get your Down Payment Connect link, there's a marketing resources button. And in fact, here, I'll bring that up on the screen here. You can click on marketing resources. Let's go to this. So where you go get your Down Payment Connect link, that marketing resources button will also bring up all kinds of marketing help, flyers. You know, that's where we saw the flyers, the graphics. There are video tutorials and previously recorded webinars there as well. Let's see, how are we on time here? I think we have time for some more questions. Yeah, we still do.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
There was a question in regards to, in a roundabout way, do DPAs cause loan closings to be longer than 30 days?
A good loan officer will ensure that does not happen. And let me clarify. So there are a lot of ways and reasons that a transaction can be delayed. Right now, it could be an appraisal issue. It could be any number of things. Often in the past, you may have had an experience like this. A DPA was involved and there was a delay in the transaction. Let's say that was because of the DPA. Often that's because a full pre-qual wasn't done up front, cash to close wasn't investigated thoroughly up front, or something happened along the way, and the down payment assistance program was brought into the loan transaction later in the process. So best practices can also prevent those. A good loan officer who knows these programs closes them on time. There are some down payment assistance programs that may require an extra day or 2 or 3 or 5, but generally that's not the case. And if that is the case, that's not a deal stopper. It's just a longer transaction. But as long as that expectation is set up front, it's not fair to call that a delay. It's just, it takes a little longer. But again, if we know that up front, that's not a delay. It's just setting expectations. But for the most part, an LO who knows these programs is going to close on time. They're going to close in the same 30-day window as anything else. And I can tell you that with confidence because I do events like this with lenders and loan officers and so forth all the time. And I mean, as recently as this week and last week, I've been in events where DPA stud loan officers that know what they're doing with these programs, they will absolutely publicly commit. They will even pick up the phone and call the seller and say, look, I know what I'm doing. I do this program all the time. We're closing in 30 days. You get me the title, right? So no, DPAs do not inherently extend the transaction.
Great, Sean, there's another great question that I think would be helpful for everyone to hear. And that is, does the money have to be paid back?
Depends on the program. So some down payment assistance programs are grants. More of them are what we would call a subordinate loan or a second mortgage. So a grant is a true gift. Now, with second mortgages, in fact, this is another good opportunity to pull up a slide we were looking at earlier on. Let me pull that up here. So there are many kinds of down payment assistance. I'm just going to focus on the left side here. Or there are many kinds of homebuyer programs. So let me focus on the left side, which is down payment and closing cost assistance. Within that category, there are really kind of 4 more categories. A down payment assistance program can be a repayable second mortgage where you get the assistance at closing, you close, you make your mortgage payment, and you also make a payment on the down payment assistance. Now, a lot of programs are actually deferred, meaning you don't have a monthly payment, but maybe it's due back if you refinance or sell the house or move out of the house because it's no longer your owner occupied residence. So a lot of programs are deferred, and then 43% are forgivable loans. So it's not a grant at closing, but over time or at some point in the future, that assistance becomes forgivable. So it might be forgivable at 20% per year over 5 years. It might be forgivable in year 7 if you stay in the house for 7 years. It varies by program. There's no one answer here, but it is good to know, and that's a great question to ask. Not every DPA is the same. There are several different types of repayment terms, and it varies by program. What else? Any other common themes we're seeing in chat or the Q&A?
Hey, Sean, this is Mel. I think this first question in Q&A is actually a good one. Once the client calls you with their list or you receive the client's search results from Down Payment Connect, how do you know what other information to provide them? Or do I then refer them to a lender who knows and offers DPA?
Yes, great question. So I think that came from Kiana. The first thing to do is engage in that conversation and just let them know that help is out there. And they will have kind of come to know that already by way of your Down Payment Connect page. But now that you have a list of their programs, one thing that you could do if you're willing, and this is not to make you a loan officer or a DPA subject matter expert, but when you get the lead, you will get links to details about that program. The buyer doesn't, but you do. So you have an opportunity there to kind of open it up, look at a flyer, get a feel for what each program offers. So that's one thing you could do. Again, not to be a subject matter expert, but just to continue that conversation in a thoughtful manner and provide a little more context or detail to that buyer. But then, Kiana, you were right. The next step really is contact your loan officer and connect that client with that loan officer that you trust with first-time home buyers and DPAs. Now, you've all got your partnerships for, luxury, for repeat high-end buyers, for first-time home buyers, for, whatever the transaction type is. Get that loan officer in place that works with DPAs. And then, yes, that is the next best step. And that actually ties back to a previous question, do DPAs make the transaction take longer? No, if you follow what Kiana is saying here, get the pre-qualification done up front. Look at down payment assistance programs up front. Start that down payment assistance application in parallel with the mortgage application up front. And for that matter, do the homebuyer education class up front as soon as possible. There's no reason to wait on any of that, especially the homebuyer education class, because that class, for example, once you complete it, that certificate of completion is typically good for a year, sometimes 2. There's no reason to wait. You'll have a better educated client the more of this you do up front, and then it just makes it easier for everybody to go through a more seamless transaction. What else? We still have a couple more minutes, maybe one more question each, and I'm taking a look at the Q&A here. Wow, you guys are busy in chat. My goodness. I see a couple income questions. So I'll address income and purchase price. Yes, a lot of programs do have income or purchase price limits. However, I'm going to pull up another slide here. I do want to clarify, they are typically market adjusted. So if you are in Silicon Valley, California, or if you're in, Manhattan or Austin, Texas, you're going to have higher income and purchase price limits for programs in your market than if you were in Atlanta, Charlotte, well, maybe not Denver, but point is the income and purchase price limits for the programs in your market are going to reflect median incomes and median purchase prices in your market. So the DPA providers use those data points from HUD and from other sources to calculate what their income limits are. Now, yes, some programs are for those at 80% of the area median income, but some will go up to 120, 140, 180% of area median or average income. So income and purchase price limits are market adjusted, and once you dig in, are probably surprisingly flexible in many markets. Mel, Fern, Veronica, any one last question you want to address?
Hey, Sean, I have seen a couple of people ask about homebuyer education, just wanting to know if there are costs involved, how they can find those programs, and then how long the certificates last, if you just want to address that really quickly.
Yeah, so typically required. So expected that's going to need to be done. As far as cost, some come with a cost, some are subsidized by the DPA provider. It really just depends, but it's never going to be more than like 50 or $100 tops. They are going to be a much better educated client and a more educated homeowner once they complete that class. As far as where to find the courses, we actually provide links to that in the details that you get from a Down Payment Connect lead or in any down payment resource, MLS integration. So you'll always know where to go to take the class. There are plenty of online options. No reason to wait and get that done. In fact, as soon as you get a new client, if you suspect they're going to be using down payment assistance, get the Homebuyer Education class started. Get it done. There's no reason to wait. And then the sooner the better, because you've got a better educated client. They've already met a requirement to qualify for the program, and everybody's kind of got a head start. Mel, did I cover everything?
Yeah, I mean, we still have a lot of questions going on, but yeah, if everybody, Sean has our contact information there. Please email us if you have any questions. But yeah, we've had a ton of great questions, and we certainly didn't get to everyone, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, Fern, any one last question you want to address?
Sean, I was just reading through the messages and the questions in the Q&A. Trying to find one here. There is one. Okay, this is one that comes up, but it just came over. Can non-US citizens, are they eligible for down payment assistance?
In some cases, it does depend on the program. And in that case, you really do need to talk to the loan officer and the program provider. We'll show you what's out there. And there are some DPA providers that will accept ITINs and various citizenship statuses. So that's not an automatic disqualifier. So look into that for the programs in your area. We will be collecting more information like that about programs. We haven't quite gotten that level of detail yet, but there are certainly opportunities out there.
And there is one more here that just came through that we see quite a bit, and that is, our DPA programs, is the interest rate higher on these programs?
So actually, that's a good one to end on. I'm glad somebody asked that, because, and we should probably have a slide for this. Here's the deal with the interest rate thing. There are a number of ways that down payment assistance programs are funded. There are a number of sources from which these providers, whether it's a nonprofit or a state agency or municipality, there are a number of ways in which these programs get funded. One of those ways is by adjusting the interest rate on the first, essentially, to pay for the DPA. That is typically only happening with your state or local housing finance agency, but a lot of these programs are funded in other ways that have nothing to do with the interest rate. So, and for all of this, I think this is a good segue to a good end here. For all of this, for all of these questions, we also have to ask ourselves, if not for that down payment assistance program, was this renter going to be a buyer? Was this transaction going to happen? Was this contract going to get signed? Was this borrower going to close on a loan? If not for that DPA, would we have been able to create this transaction and create this opportunity for this buyer? So I did see some questions in here. Are there any drawbacks, things like that? There's probably drawbacks for anything that we do. But we're talking about getting somebody into a home much sooner than they probably thought was possible. Potentially years, expediting that by years. And so, yes, they have to take a homebuyer education class. Depending on the DPA, it may be forgivable, it may be a grant, it may be repayable. All of them, though, all of these programs are designed to get people into a home. And they're an opportunity for you to attract a larger audience of renters and prospective home buyers, to build a bigger purchase pipeline, to gain some momentum and some traction with a new outlet, a new channel for you to market to. So I think we'll leave you with that. There are so many questions here. We can't possibly get to all of them, even if we stayed on for another hour, and they're still coming in. So thank you all for a very interactive session here. We had a very large audience. We appreciate all of the questions, all of the comments. Our contact information is up on the screen here. So if we didn't get to your question, you can reach out to us at info@downpaymentresource.com. If you are a member of one of our partner MLSs, you already have Down Payment Connect and full DPR access through your MLS. If you are not and you want to explore Down Payment Connect, you can do so at downpaymentresource.com. DPC. With that, thank you all. Reach out to us here if you have any further questions, and go get started and go have fun. Let's let these potential buyers know that it is within reach. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.